It's coming home, it's coming home, it's coming, football's coming home, which he sort of said ironically, though when we get certain, levels of success, we start to believe it. Welcome back, everybody. It's another video. Welcome. So once again, we are focusing on England, that's right, and the starting 11 to play Scotland. It ain't that lot easy, I won't do that again. If any Scottish people are watching, disappointing result against the Czech Republic. I thought you'd be better than that. I had you down as my dark horses. Didn't realise you were going to be pony. Just a joke. Good luck this Friday. I do mean it. In which I mean, sort of, if you're going to lose bravely, and we'll just win. So then, what would I do for my starting 11 versus Scotland then? Would I change it dramatically? Would I keep it exactly the same? We're somewhere in between. Okay, let's start in goal, and surprise, surprise, we are unchanged. Of course, some goalkeeping news for England is that Dean Henderson has left the squad and Aaron Ramsdale has been called up, and I think he should... No, obviously not. Jordan Pickford should remain in goal. Had a very solid display, I thought, in the first game against Croatia, and can continue that. Still, his goalkeeping to me, and his goal kicking specifically, is still a little bit too erratic for my liking. It's like he winds it up like a Falco punch, for those that have played Super Smash Bros. I don't know why he does it quite like that. I feel like he could just kick it normally and it would still go as far, but he seems to want to power it up with arms, legs, and everything else. Maybe that was a technique he learned as a youngster, I don't know. Either way, I think goalkeeping wise, he did a pretty good job, I'd say, against Croatia. A very good job, I should say, actually. A clean sheet's always impressive in a tournament, so we'll give him it. Jordan Pickford to remain in goal. And now let's go through the back four then, and there's a change in there. Let's bring all four of them up then. It's Kyle Walker, it's John Stones, it's Tyrone Mings, and Luke Shaw comes in at left back for Kieran Trippier. Now, with Kyle Walker on the ball, I thought he was a little bit disappointing. Hopefully you watched my review of the Croatia game. Defensively, you're getting a lot with Kyle Walker, right? Not just his speed, covering for players to his side or in front of him even at times, right? He's always going to be in the right position because of his speed. It's something that's sort of been a bit of a crutch of his over the years, but it still makes him a very difficult defender to play against. He's very physical. And I think to keep the consistency somewhere, it needs to be in the side at the back, and I think him and John Stones have that connection, have that partnership, and I think creating and developing these partnerships over the course of a tournament is important. With John Stones and Kyle Walker, you've already got one ready-made from their club football. So John Stones, Kyle Walker to remain as that back two, really, on that side. Over the other side, of course, there's going to be question marks over Harry Maguire, and I think the conversation for him is very similar to the conversation around Jordan Henderson. Both have been lacking a little bit of match fitness. Maguire hasn't played for a very long time, it feels like now. Henderson's had a few minutes here and there, so you'd say he's probably a little bit further along, but I've got a plan for those two, and it doesn't come in this game, right? So you keep Mings in there. Him and Stones both did really well this weekend. It didn't really look like a partnership that hadn't played together that often before, if ever before. So I definitely keep those two as the centre-back partnership. On the left-hand side, I thought Kieran Trippier did a pretty good job over on the left-hand side, and there was an argument in my brain really of whether you take him actually and you put him at right-back, because obviously what you're getting with him is very good set piece, his confidence on the ball was clear to see, even at left-back, right? He seemed very assured in that, I think, because we've not seen him for a year since he's been in Spain. This is question mark of, well, how good is he? Can we all remember? But he's a quality fullback, right? And I think you've got to give him the credit of that. That said, I think England lacked a little bit of width on the left-hand side, and with what's going to be ahead of him in this particular system, I think having Luke Shaw there to give that natural left-sided, left-footed width, apparently had a little bit of a knock going into the game at the weekend. Maybe he'd have played if he was fully fit. I actually think he probably wouldn't have done. I think Southgate had a plan. I think this time, Shaw is clearly ahead of Ben Chilwell in the pecking order, who wasn't even in the squad for the last game, which I thought was confusing, but again, I guess it didn't really matter because Trippier did fine, and Luke Shaw would have been on the bench anyway, so you've got that cover if you need it. But yeah, Luke Shaw, natural width on the left-hand side. I think this is the moment to bring him into the team. You're going to need an actual left-back to be fit, ready to go, and Luke Shaw seems to be the guy for this tournament. I really hope he plays Chilwell in the third game and just uses different left-backs at all occasion. Now, in central midfield, this is the one place I had the biggest debate with my own mind, really, of what would I play as my midfield two. As we bring them up, I wouldn't change it. Declan Rice and Calvin Phillips put in an absolutely fantastic performance at the weekend. They seem to be getting an understanding with one another. Their ability to keep the ball was really impressive, far more impressive than I thought it would be against the Croatian side that I thought would dominate the ball and dominate the game far more, but they were crucial. Of course, they're the pivot, right? They're the anchor between the defense and the attack, and it's crucial they keep hold of the ball. They did that really well against Croatia. That's going to be just as important against Scotland, right? In a slightly different way, in that they're going to have more of the ball probably than they had beforehand, and that is where arguments for Bellingham and Henderson, right, come into the conversation. Could you actually bring them in for this game? Bellingham we saw come off the bench and look decent, right? I think he's going to be a quality player. I'm a big fan of Jude Bellingham. And Henderson, for me, similar to Harry Maguire then, I'd play him in the next game. I think get the win in this game, have a little bit of grit, a little bit of a determination in the centre of midfield that you know now are ready, right? They're sharp, they're raring to go. They've had quite a long rest actually from the Sunday to the Friday. Let them go in there again. And of course, it's probably a little bit unfair to say grit and determination as if they don't both possess some real quality in their play as well. So I think what I'm expecting from these two is very much what we got against Croatia. I think the pressure is slightly off them as well now because they've proven that they've done it, and in the national tournament stage, I definitely keep with the pair of them going into this again. Their ball retention was really good. I think that's going to be vital coming up, especially again with the players in front. I mentioned this natural width. Let's move to this front three then before we get on to Harry Kane, who is kind of a given at this point. I don't think anyone would drop Kane. I thought he was a little bit underwhelming in the opening game, Harry Kane, but again, we'll come to him in just a moment. The three that I've selected then, and this is where my change really comes about, and I thought, what would I not want to play against if I was Scotland here? And I think they wouldn't be that upset playing against Raheem Sterling. I think they know Raheem Sterling very, very well. I think they know what to expect from Raheem Sterling, and I think they'd be ready for Raheem Sterling. I don't think they'd want to play against a two either side of Mason Mount, who I'd play centrally. I would drop Phil Foden. I would drop Raheem Sterling, who I both thought had okay games. I think Foden was, again, very good with the ball. Of course, Sterling got the goal. There's the argument to say, well, do you ruin his momentum by taking him out now? And will Southgate look at that goal and think that's the kickstart he needs for the tournament? And I think that is going to be really interesting to see if he starts or not. I think the likelihood is Southgate will play a team that is quite similar. This is sort of my team, what I would play. I'd bring in Grealish on the left-hand side. I'd bring in Sancho on the right-hand side. Again, another player that wasn't even in the squad. Confusing. So a few of you confirmed for me that you have to have three goalkeepers, a rule that I'm not a fan of. But yeah, North Korean World Cup, the debacle when they tried to put an outfield player in the goalkeeper position sprung to mind. Sancho on the right-hand side, even on the left, really. I think it's very fluid, this midfield three. You've seen Mount play on either side as well. Like, I don't think it has to be defined as Grealish on the left and Sancho on the right. The way in which we need to work on our combination play is so important for me. Right now, I feel like we don't see enough of it. And we had the ball for like relatively large spells against Croatia, and going into a tournament, right, the more games you play, the quicker they seem to come. You've got to be able to control games and manage games, and having ball players that do that, it's a lot easier to do than trying to find balls into Sterling, right? You're trying to run in behind, and players like Grealish is a fantastic ball carrier, Sancho, great ball carrier, and Mason Mount, the work rate of Mount, like, obviously I come from a football manager background, he's got 20 work rate. When you see it playing in a team that you support, right, you see it, obviously he does it for Chelsea all the time. When you see it for England, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, this boy's really got it. I was so impressed with Mount. Really, really good. Great performance against Croatia. He stays in there. I think the craft and creativity of Foden is probably slightly above what Mount offers, but I think the work rate, the running in behind, the running into channels, that appears to be Mount's game. And without Raheem Sterling, you need a player to do that. And Mason Mount, to me, is that guy. I think there's going to be this question mark, isn't there, of can we unlock what will be quite a deep set, like the low block conversation comes in all the time. Will we be able to sustain the pressure that is put under us if it's not going well, right? And we're going to need the likes of Grealish and Sancho to unlock the door quite early, again, to interchange with Kane, to use that natural width of Walker and of Shaw and get Harry Kane chances. There's one criticism of England in that first game is they did not supply Harry Kane with enough opportunities for him to be the Harry Kane that we kind of know and enjoy watching in the Premier League week in, week out. And it has to happen this time, right? You're not getting it necessarily from Phillips. I know you got an assist, but I don't necessarily think that's always his game of looking for that final ball necessarily. But with Sancho, Grealish, Mount, that's their game, right? And if it's not going well, guess what? You've got Marcus Rashford, Raheem Sterling coming off the bench, pace and injection towards the end of games maybe. If it's not working on 60 for Jack Grealish and for Sancho, you've got 5 subs. Start making changes, right? Phil Foden on for Mason Mount. Things like this. Bellingham could come on in the middle if it's not quite working out. We need someone else to start working things over. we've got those options in the England squad. It's not a really quality England squad. There's a lot of quality in it, but it's not obvious that these 8 players should start every single game, right? And we don't lose that much from making substitutions. That's the big difference with this England team. And this is why these videos are so much more interesting than in previous years, because there's so much discussion to be had on the players that are going to start and why and how, and the opposition, and how pragmatic is Gareth Southgate going to be. That's the big question for me, and the continuing ongoing thing for me as well of getting the best out of Harry Kane. If England are going to go far in this competition, Harry Kane needs to pick up 5, 6, 7 goals, right? And I think that's going to be, I hope that's the idea for this England team and for Southgate. If you don't get Harry Kane the ball, if you struggle to find openings for him, that is where this tournament will fall apart for England. And I think we have to kind of see at full tilt the way we can play with an attacking verve, right? You need Sancho, you need Grealish to be on form, not just from the start of games, but if you're bringing them off the bench, right? Later on, we didn't see Grealish, of course, we didn't see Sancho in the first game. The third game is going to be really interesting. We might have a blend of that, right? You might have Sterling and then one of the more creative boys. I don't know. We'll talk about that game once we get past Scotland. I'd expect England to win the game. I thought Scotland were disappointing against Czech Republic. I expected a little bit more. I think they score a bit of a freak goal. Like, it's a great goal, but it's a bit of a freak goal. But overall, I thought Scotland really lacked offensively. And I don't think... Again, because of that, there might be the argument to say, well, you don't need Rice and Phillips in there. You don't need to be as combative because you'll have more of the ball and they're not that threatening going forward. I don't think you can be arrogant enough to take that risk. So you don't need to do it early in the game, but as the game develops, right, even if you've scored a few goals, that's when the changes can come in. You can maybe bring on Maguire for 20 minutes. You can bring on Henderson for half an hour and try and work those boys into the squad, ready to play the Czech Republic in our final group game, when hopefully all is secure, right? If you beat Scotland right now, you're through. So it's that simple. I'm excited. An England-Scotland game, it takes me back to my first tournament, which was Euro 96, that I remember so fondly. And if we have a goal as good as Gaz's, then it's going to be quite the afternoon. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully you are too. Leave in the comment section, of course, your ideas and your team selections going into this game against Scotland. And if you're a Scotland fan, give me the reasons you think you've got a chance against England. I'm genuinely curious to see how you view the game, and maybe give your Scottish 11 as well, so I can have a look through and maybe give me some points to look out for throughout the game. Yeah, please do. If you enjoyed the video, please do leave a like on it. If you're enjoying the football content, make sure you subscribe. Plenty more to come throughout the tournament. I will give my recap very soon on the entire group stage that we've seen so far throughout the Euro, so that'll be exciting. Teams that I thought have done well, teams that I've been disappointed in, and some players to continue to look out for. But yeah, really good fun so far. If you enjoyed it, let me know, and I'll see you again soon. We love with care from Benji. Until next time, I'll see you again very, very soon. Goodbye.